How's it going, guys and gals? My name is Beckett, and welcome to a highly experimental new video I'm trying. Very experimental. To the point where I came up with the idea yesterday. And we're doing it now, a day later.
It's so experimental that it may literally explode in his face, everybody. So if halfway through the video, it cuts out, and then there's just like a photo of him, but like Gus Fringed with half his face missing, replaced by a gnarly CGI effect. You know how experimental this thing is. That's how experimental we're going.
It's so experimental that Jed doesn't even know the full picture of this yet.
It's great. It's great. I came on here and I was like, ooh, we're gonna talk about ideas, not record a thing. But sod it, let's go. Fuck it, we ball.
So what today's experimental idea is it actually? So, firstly, Jed, have you ever seen Trek Culture, the channel?
Yes.
Have you seen their recent sort of start of what the hell just happened videos?
No, but I'm eager to hear how that relates to this idea.
Well, basically, the whole thing is it's a side thing apart from the ups and downs sort of stuff. It's basically it's Sean, Ellie, and another one of the team on a call, basically just going through what they thought about of the episode. I raw and just having just watched it, and it sparked from that, and also just generally some other stuff I've seen across the internet. But like, I mean, I guess you kind of have to be sort of a rather critical person to sort of do these sorts of stuff. But I've never sort of seen like someone like me who like do one of these things. So I mean, even I'm a casual watcher, and I've got a half an A4 page here of fucking notes here on this fucking Google Doc. But I've just never seen like any sort of like any casual reviews of this sort of stuff. So I was thinking to myself like, I should do this sort of thing, but who would I do? And I thought, I don't know why. Originally I thought
who did you think of?
Originally I thought who could I do one of these sorts of videos with, and I thought, but then as I was playing it, I thought, hold on, it could do a bit sort of not directly copying anything. It could be more like a critical thinker versus casual thinker sort of majiggy thing. Work in progress title, obviously, but that's the general idea that I came up with. So that's why. So the experiment looks like, because obviously they have 3 sides. So I mean, I don't know if I might be do it. I mean, it might work well with just us two. I mean, I might try bringing a third person in or someone else, whatever, find out sort of stuff, seeing what happens. If it goes well, I might do more. If not, it'll just go into the list of ideas that
you've tried it.
It didn't work.
Okay, it did not work. It did not work. You don't know that yet. It might work. It might work. Let's try it. So basically you thought to yourself, who do I know who knows a lot about Star Trek, is an opinionated git, and can talk for England? Wait!
Actually, sort of, but not entirely. My first thought was mainly, who do I know that likes Star Trek? Also, you came in the fold with many other people. But also, who do I know, if I ask, could you do this video with me, will mostly likely say yes. And also,
that's always a good reason.
And also, who do I know is sort of is able to delve deep enough into this stuff to be able to also make enough content out of it with. So you basically fit all necessary boxes for me to do. Right, if I'm going to do an experimental episode with anyone, it's going to be Jed.
No, fair.
So I guess to start with this thing, my first question is, in general, for those of you who actually I should probably mention, this sort of experimental critical reviewer versus casual reviewer, whatever video, is going to be on the Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 8?
The one that's just come out.
The one that's just come out, either way, on the 28th of August 2025. 4.5 Vulcans. So, obviously, we are starting this thing, to be honest, towards the end of a new season, admittedly.
Yeah.
But, given that sort of stuff, my first question is, what have your thoughts been about this season so far?
iffy. Real fucking iffy.
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay. So I like Strange New Worlds is one of my favorite Star Treks.
Yeah.
Of the modern run of Star Treks that began with Discovery, because I have issues with Discovery, and I had and I had issues with Picard. But like Strange New Worlds, broadly speaking, I really like Strange New Worlds. I have a lot of problems with it still. Like a lot of problems with it. But having a lot of problems with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, I can still appreciate that it is broadly speaking doing things that I think Star Trek should be doing.
Okay.
And in fact, more to the point, I think Star Trek Strange New Worlds is the kind of thing that they really should have started with when they were bringing Star Trek back. If I'm being honest, like, so you know.
So, as I understand, I'm part of also more of a bit of a side tangent with this, but I'm a part of Star Trek Legacy fan group on Facebook, and there's been I saw a few questions regarding why have we got this, why have we not got this, and whatever, and why everything else. Oh no, it was why we got Strange New Worlds because we asked for it. Why are we not getting a Legacy?
Okay.
And I did a bit of research behind that, and so it turned out it's not directly linked to what you said, but it just reminded me of it. But because you said about the whole it started out with this new era. So basically,
is this the bit about how one of the producers went into Star Trek Discovery and kind of was like, shouldn't we have been making a Pike series? Shouldn't we be making a Pike series?
I don't think so, but it was more the fact that obviously Alex Kurtzman, when he signed on for a specific number of Star Trek projects to make, and Strange New Worlds was actually one of those projects that was going to be kind of long down the pipeline. But I think I don't know if it was planned to be later on, but I think it's only because obviously of Pike in Discovery being so well loved that they then decided, okay, well, these things we've already planned to make this. Let's then, seeing as the fans want it, then bring it up closer. And so the reason why there's been no legacy is because from that's not legacy is a show that has not been originally planned. It's not like a plan that's in the plan, it's in the works.
It's because obviously like there's a whole conversation that people kind of don't realize how long it takes to make something happen in TV land. And like, look, I think I actually complained in that big video that we did with the Morningstar cast about how modern Star Trek shows, the elevator pitch changes every season for some of these things.
Yeah, you mentioned that,
That's a part of the fact that a lot of these shows were, to be frank, kind of rushed into production. You know, so in a weird way, Strange New Worlds is that sort of, it's that program that, it was planned from the beginning, but also they've given it enough time that conceptually, don't mind me awkwardly fidgeting in my seat, but conceptually it's something that they've been planning for a long time. And, conceptually it's they've had time to sort of tidy it up a bit.
Fair enough.
So, but no, it's interesting because I'm, broadly speaking, in favor of Star Trek Legacy. I do think Star Trek Legacy is going to happen.
Okay.
Because you've got a proven success story. I think actually no. Star Trek Legacy, it's very likely Star Trek Legacy could happen if two things happen, in my estimation. One, people have to keep asking for it.
Okay.
You have to prove that there's a demand for it for some knob cheese 5,000 miles up the fucking chain to sort of look down from the Paramount ivory tower and go, the paying plebes of the fan base will give us money if we make this television series. But also, Vision Quest has to succeed for Marvel because Terry Matalas is running that. Obviously, Todd Stashwick is in that. Terry Matalas did well with Star Trek Picard Season 3, like really well. But if he goes from doing really well with that to pissing Vision Quest up a wall, if that goes to hell, then that will fuck over the chances of Legacy happening, because it doesn't matter how good Picard Season 3 was. The most recent thing that happens will be Vision Quest tanking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Words. Little side tangents on that one, but so circling back around to sort of my views, which was going to be pretty easier to mention than the genitals it was. I will admit it does have a different feel than obviously the 2 previous seasons. Obviously season 1 you had pretty much like what pretty much any Star Trek fan would like rave Star Trek is all about and everything else. Season 2 was that mixed in with a bit of trying a few different things, and they have obviously said that obviously now that they have done the thing of trying different formats, they want to continue to try different formats. So far with season 3, a couple. I think generally, they were. I mean, I wouldn't say any stood out particularly to me, but they were generally entertained. I've been generally entertained. Put it that way.
It's been entertaining. I mean, I think you know, I think a lot of. I have to sort of separate out the strata of my critiques of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds because you know a fair bit of my critiques of Strange New Worlds come from the perspective of this is fucking with the canon.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest. And I'll be honest. Strange New Worlds. Like, if you wanted to go down that line, you could say that Strange New Worlds is just kind of shit in general for canon. Like continuity-wise, Strange New Worlds is a fucking joke. No, it's a fucking joke. Strange New Worlds, continuity-wise, it's not even properly. It's broken Discovery canon. Fuck classic canon for a moment. Ignore how badly it's fucked classic Star Trek canon. Strange New Worlds has fucked Star Trek Discovery canon. Okay, so in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, we go back to the Discovery era Klingon War. No Discovery Klingons, all right? From the looks of it, no Discovery era Klingon ships, and they're wearing Strange New Worlds era uniforms and stuff, right? New and equipment. There are no Discovery era uniforms present. Okay, sure, but then it gets worse. So, the fucking episode on Rigel, where they're all losing their memories among the Lotus Eaters, right? We already know that either before Discovery they were wearing the Discovery Enterprise uniforms, if you take Discovery and the short treks as canon, or they were wearing the Cage uniforms. You know, those are the two things. They ignore both of those and they just stick them in the Strange New Worlds. Like, the guy who's on that planet is wearing a red Strange New Worlds uniform. Even though that uniform is brand fucking new, and Pike, literally the first time Pike's worn it that we've seen has been in Strange New Worlds. So there's this whole excuse that people who like Discovery and want to sort of ignore the visual continuity fuckery, this whole argument that some people use of, oh, you know, visuals aren't canon, it's a visual reboot. And it's like, okay, well, Strange New Worlds has rebooted the visual reboot. It's ignoring Discovery entirely. So it's not only visually rebooting the TOS era, it's visually rebooting Star Trek Discovery. It's actively changed things that we know existed in the show, that it was working alongside, like it was concurrent with fucking Discovery for its first 2 seasons.
Okay.
So like, you know, so I could sit here and argue about fucking like visual continuity forever, but I have to separate that out and sort of instead go, you know, okay, so as a writer, what am I sort of sat here thinking about? And as a writer, I don't know, like, as somebody who enjoys writing, it's not been a bad season. There's been some really fun standout moments. I'm a bit bemused by, you know, here's Spock a Vulcan, Lothario, you know, breaks up with one woman, immediately goes out with the hot brunette.
I will say one thing on that topic, and it's actually something that does come up with a bit in this for this episode. So putting aside all like volcanisms and canon whatever, not like I since it started, I've definitely shipped Spock and Chapel, and the actual and it's only purely. I know, I don't know if it's bit, but like but I felt an actual, not quite anger, but close to almost to anger or hatred when she came on board with Corby, yeah. I was like,
strikes again.
But yeah, so that's okay. So and then
I'm a Kirk Spock shipper. So I sit here like watching them constantly. It's the same thing they were trying to do in Star Trek 2009, right? Where they're like, but we're American television. We're Americans in Hollywood. We can't have gay. We can't allow gay. We cannot leave room for the gay. So what they do instead is that they try and give Spock a girlfriend. And it's gonna, I guarantee you, like I don't know how to tell you this, Hollywood. I don't know how to tell you this, all right? And I don't know how to tell you this, weirdo right-wing nutjobs who somehow pretend that you're Star Trek fans. You're not, by the way. Gene Roddenberry would have hated your guts. You're all pathetic. But so I don't know how to tell you this, but the gay has been part of Star Trek for 59 years, and the gay is not going away. The gay is staying. Long live the gay. The gay is fucking sticking around. Fucking Kirk Spock forever. Spock forever. Fuck off.
Okay, that's okay. Interesting. Fair enough.
Sorry.
Turn down. Come on, turn down.
Don't worry. If you get engagement from all the weirdos who want to like hate on gay people, it's fine. Just do what I do and block them.
Fair enough.
But no, it's just fucking weird that it's like, you know, oh yeah, we're just gonna give Spock a rebound romance with Lan Noonien Singh. I mean, it was one thing that he didn't fucking know who Khan Noonien Singh was in Space Seed. It's quite another thing that he could we have now in a position, very realistically, in fucking Star Trek, where if you went back to the Star Trek The Original Series, you could write a fanfic where Spock goes up to Khan and goes, I thought it important that you know, I tapped your great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter. And it's like, apologies, by the way, for that very, like, elder millennial turn of phrase for that, but, like, you could really have a fucking scene in a fucking fanfic of him going up to Khan and going, your great-great-great-granddaughter is really fine. Oh, fuck. We made the fucking busted Year 3000 song fucking come through. It's for God's fucking sake. If you ever get the chance to just do a cover of Year 3000 as Spock, please.
Can I permission to try and bring this back to some sense of sanity?
He did tell you this was experimental, dear viewers.
Yeah, I did. Because it's actually inspired an episode of Morningstar. What were your thoughts on the documentary-style theme of the last episode? Because I liked it.
I liked it. I'm sort of sat here a little bit thinking to myself, huh.
I mean, I know there were I know there was story points with, like, so I've watched the track culture video. I know there were story points where they're a bit iffy, but like, to be fair, also I was like if I remember
okay. So as a concept, doing a documentary style thing, fucking loved that. I thought it was really interesting that you had a character coming in with this sort of anti-Starfleet angle. I thought that was very interesting. I think it's always good to ask questions about Starfleet because I'm one of these people who like Starfleet. I think it's good to sort of ask questions about it so that the show and the universe thing can sort of recommit to Starfleet as a fundamental force of good in the narrative. Obviously, there's probably a lot of people watching this who think, oh gosh, that's really innovative. And I'm sort of sat here thinking to myself, you know, fan films have been doing that for years. Like, you know, fucking, like, Sam Cockings has been doing documentary stuff with Trek shorts for years. You know, Axanar did Prelude to Axanar, which was, like, incredibly successful for a fan film. So documentary-style fan films have existed for a long time. Obviously, this wasn't formatted exactly like they are formatted, but a lot of the stuff that in there reminded me very much of those, and I sort of sat here thinking to myself, well, okay, this would have been a hell of a lot more interesting to me if I wasn't used to Star Trek doing documentary style, because even I've done the documentary style.
Okay.
Like, you know, so it's interesting, but it's also like, you get this in Doctor Who fandom as well, where like Doctor Who, the real TV show, will do something, but the fan community has done it first. And it's like, you know, and in some ways the fan community can do more with concepts because the fan community doesn't have a board of corporate overlords demanding things from it. So, you know.
Okay.
But I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. I think it'll be a shame if we never see that sort of thing again. You know. But yeah, no.
Because so yeah, because like as you mentioned the whole like main story plot, as the casual brain switcher off of viewer I sort of am, I was sort of, my first captivation was obviously the whole documentary style, and so I was more focused on that for anything else. Shut up. And so I mean, maybe it's because the way my brain works is that I don't think of like past but variants where this has happened before, like immediately or anything, but I don't. There was a way they did this, in which it wasn't like it was literally a standard Star Trek episode, them doing a mission, but obviously with. I think with the security camera angles used as the documentary style. I don't know if that sort of thing's been done before or not, but I think it was that part of it that sort of really called me. I can't describe it. It was just a really weird, unique thing that from my at least recent memory I hadn't seen before. So I was like, this actually kind of really cool. Yeah.
So as a genre fan, it's been done even in, like, I think Stargate did an episode not dissimilar to it. You know, in one of its later seasons. So it's not like it's never been done, but I think it was a very well executed take on that framework.
Okay.
So
all right.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Just generally speaking, what were your general thoughts of this episode, Jed? I was expecting this reaction exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Not getting into anything deep just yet, because obviously we'll go through each list as we go on. But as like a general overview to start with.
General review. Okay.
If you can manage that.
It's a collection of individually very funny moments, strung together by a fundamentally flawed, if not outright racist premise that also kind of spits on one of the core fundamental species of the Star Trek canon a little tiny bit. So,
okay.
you know, so basically it's like, it's a bunch of really fun moments, sure, but also like it's kind of fundamentally bad. It's fundamentally kind of bad. In a way that we should sort of be, in a way that we, as like an audience watching, like a lot of people pointed this shit out when that first trailer clip of this thing came out like a year ago. But like, it's the sort of thing where you kind of have to look at it and just go, okay, that's not how any of that works. And actually the understanding of how science and genetics work in relation to people is kind of, it's kind of really fucking bad. Like,
fair enough.
I mean, okay.
Why don't I just stop you? Why don't I just stop you? Stop you there. Why don't I just stop you there?
You tell me what you thought of it. You tell me what you thought of it.
So my general overview of the 4.5 Vulcans, which I will say, I only got about literally jumping into the thing a little bit. As Pike was saying, 4.5 Vulcans. That's when I understood the reference to the title. But so generally speaking, I think it was there are a few bits in there that even I as a casual viewer, sort of was like, okay, it's a bit meh. And maybe that was because I was focusing on a bit more to be able to make notes for it on Osman. But generally, I had a fucking laugh with it. Generally, I know the thing, and I saw it. I've already seen comments about it online and stuff, and yeah. So I'm going into it. I going watching it into this. Even the opening scene, I was like going into. I was like, hey, this is gonna be another episode that I know there are gonna be tons of people that are gonna be like, oh, this all this comedy is nostalgic or whatever. But like, I just, on the whole, I had a fucking laugh with it.
I mean, anyone who says comedy isn't Star Trek is not paying attention.
So,
you know, like comedy is Star Trek.
So, with that, let's get on into this. So, we shall start. I will go through in sort of order-ish, and we'll see how this goes on. So we'll start with the starting scene. What did you think of the little opening scene with Una and La'an in the mess hall?
I mean, what did you think of it?
Again, admittedly, I trailed off there because I kind of half forgot what they were talking about because of the format they were doing the scene in. I was finding so obviously the comedy element sort of jumped out at me immediately, so I was sort of laughing a bit more at the format more than anything else. So I wasn't really focused too much on what the content was in there. I understood the whole awkwardness behind La'an and Spock and stuff, that sort of thing. And there was one shot where they have like the low up shot of Spock just sat there eating a sandwich like that. I just found that really rather funny. But generally, just the whole sort of comedic slapstick awkwardness of that scene just sold me on that intro completely.
I mean, going scene by scene, that one I must admit didn't leave all that much of an impression on me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Now bear in mind, if I knew I was coming into doing a video about it, I would have watched it more than once this morning. But
I thought I did mention it was a video idea.
Yeah, the video idea. I didn't realise we'd be recording. But
my bad. Sorry.
It's fine because it's probably better that I don't dissect things too much. Like my initial impression of it was just, yeah, okay, these two are characters. They're having a conversation. It all feels good. I mean, it was kind of drowned out by my sort of increasing disdain for a lot of what was happening afterwards. If I'm being honest.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
You know, like that was a perfectly functional scene. There's a lot of reasons I don't like I'm sat here, and even as I'm sat here thinking about it, there are even more reasons that I'm sat here thinking, my God, this is awful.
There was one thing that I say as a whole as well, because I've got it labelled out several different ways. Pelia, fucking gem throughout. I mean, I know there's some varying opinions on Pelia, but she's just, every single scene she was in was fucking brilliant.
Pelia is one of the best characters in Strange New Worlds, and I will die on that hill.
So following the opening, what was your sort of comments? What sort of specific things did you think about, or stood out to you regarding this episode that you liked or didn't like, whatever?
Okay. I'll start with what I liked. Because, okay. You know, I'm going to be very negative.
That's fair enough.
And I want you all to understand, you wonderful, wonderful people at home, when I'm negative about something, it's not because I want to be a dickhead about it, but sometimes, just sometimes, you have to dissect things with a fine-toothed comb in order to find out exactly why they are wrong.
And this is why I've brought him along. Because talking with the details, I can't.
I mean, here's the thing. I like the fact that you've got a lot of really comedic moments. I like the comedic tone.
There's a lot of that on my list.
Broadly, I liked. Now, he had a human name. I can't for the life of me remember the human name of the Vulcan Katra expert that they brought on.
I think it was Doug.
Doug. I love Doug. Doug.
That was. I did. Yeah.
Doug makes so much sense to me.
I did get that. As someone. As I put it on here. Sorry, very quickly. As I actually put in here. As a writer of Uno, I'm liking Doug.
Oh yeah, no, Doug makes a lot of sense. Like, you know, if you think about the fact that you've got like Vatosh Katur, if you think about the fact that you've got like humans and Vulcans have known each other for like what 200 years at this point. Yeah. Obviously, you're gonna have a Doug. Doug is inevitable, and I love the Doug. I love the really Vulcan way that he approached human stuff. You know.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, I love the comedic elements of it. Yeah. I loved Pelia's stuff. I loved. God, no, I've got
an idea. Seeing as you obviously as you're a little bit less unprepared than I was, understandably, I've got a whole list of things. So I shall sort of go through what I've gone through, and then you can obviously dissect and pick out from what you took that way. So that's a structure we can experiment with for now. Okay. So after the opening scene, my next sort of notes were on the DNA Vulcan integration scene in sickbay. So aside from the whole like techno whatever medical stuff that might be in there that people might have issues with, my thoughts was kind of, so generally thought it was funny, kinda. Going further into it, one bit that I did it made me chuckle the first part that made me chuckle about that was just that when as they injected them, Pike's limbs just failing, they're just flopping down. I find that kind of funny.
Oh yeah, some wonderful slapstick direction.
The bit that didn't quite, so that entire scene, like I said, Pelia in that scene obviously was amazing. That entire scene was pretty much all hilarious, apart from one small thing. I get the whole them crawling around because obviously it's been in pain, but how much they played into how painful it was and the writhing them running around, it was funny-ish, but a bit over the top even for me.
I mean,
especially at ultimate of it's overwhelming. That was I was like, I didn't like that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit over.
Yeah. Apart from that, small one. Apart from that, like a couple second thing now. What were your thoughts on that scene?
A lot of my thoughts about that scene sort of blend into my broader thoughts about the treatment of Vulcans and the treatment of genetics. I don't know if you want me to save that for later on. So all I'm gonna say is,
like, we can pin that for later.
We'll pin that for later. But suffice it to say,
okay.
Like one thing I will pick up on like straight away.
All right.
Was just the immediate bullying of Spock, and it's like
that I've done that in a second. Yeah.
So like, put a pin in that because that has become in my head as I've analysed this episode a whole second point. That I want to sort of just put a pin in and be like, okay, so go.
Okay, so that's the whole again. So that's the whole scene. Apart from that, there's a couple of few seconds of the writing and stuff, but it was a brilliant scene. And again, Pelly just hilarious. Just the fact that she was already in gear to become a Vulcan, and she was like, that fucking sucks. These guys like them on the floor look so fun, but I don't know. Next on my list, I've got the awaiting corridor scene, and simply put, hell yeah, I dig it. Just them striding through the corridor with that music. I knew some people would I knew, I watching it, I was like, people are gonna hate this. I fucking thought this slapped. I thought it was brilliant.
That was a moment. That was a moment.
It was a moment. And actually, come to think of it now, I know it's like, I mean, some people might, I don't know, shout at me for thinking it, but come to think of it again back now, do you know what it reminds me of? In similar sort of fashion. Bada bing, bada bang, DS9. The scene where they're walking along the promenade into Quark's bar.
You're not wrong.
I've just thought of that.
I nearly rewatched that episode today because I rewatched. No, of all episodes, I rewatched Take Me Out to the Holosuite
Okay.
Which is kind of pertinent considering it also has Vulcan characters prominent in it. But yeah, no. So I think you make a good point there. No, I had no problems with that. That was a really nicely choreographed moment.
Next on my list, we got I mean, I know they've sort of like played with it before, innit? But obviously, they've sort of played with the intro a little bit with Pike's sort of intro sort of thing with the jiggy. I thought, yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. I thought it was, yeah, clever, kind of funny. And this is when, about your comment, sort of similar to about the whole belittling Spock thing. 30 minutes in was when I was like, okay, there's some, I can place it, but there was something about the whole "we're better now with Vulcans" is getting a bit heavy. Like 30 minutes in, they were laying that shit on thick, and it was doing my nut in a little bit.
I mean, okay, so like, there are the two big things, and we're gonna unpin these now. Let's unpin these like properly.
Okay.
First off, in the previous episode, Spock basically admitted to self-harm / a suicide attempt because of the way he was treated by other Vulcans, and now we have an entire episode where him being a half Vulcan is effectively, something that these characters are taking the piss out of him for. They know him, all right? They haven't magically lost all their memories of how deeply affecting that shit is. They know him. They know how fucking hurtful that's supposed to be, even if they are Vulcans, right? Leaving aside the fact that your genetics have nothing to do with your memories or your fucking personality. Leaving that aside for the moment. They are reenacting Spock's fucking trauma, and the episode plays it for laughs. They are reenacting Spock's literal childhood trauma. And I think it's safe to say childhood trauma. So we know, as people watching Star Trek, that Spock's childhood was traumatic. He suffered horrendous racist bullying at the hands of young Vulcans, okay? He suffered horrendous fucking trauma during his childhood. Even if you've only ever watched Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is entirely possible, the literal last episode details out Spock suffering horrendous racist abuse in very heavy-handed terms, right? And him going to a fucking cave in the middle of the desert and trying to fucking off himself. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this episode has these characters who are some of his closest fucking friends, I might add, reenact that. It's him. And it's played for laughs. It's played for laughs with a little bit of a, oh ha ha, we were such jerks. Okay. No. Deal with this properly. Alright? His fucking toxic ex turned into a fucking Vulcan and had the fucking audacity to play into this bullshit that made him want to off himself as a child. His fucking captain, someone he has to trust with his life, played into this shit. Okay? You can just about handwave it with the horrendously racist, not even racist, eugenicist bullshit. Alright? This idea that your genetics make you different. No. It was fucking shit in the episode where they turned Spock human. It's fucking shit now. Alright? It's fucking shit, this idea that if you magically pull all the Vulcan out of Spock, suddenly he's just gonna act like the most human ever with no emotional control, because that's not how people work. Alright? I'm sorry, but if I magically fucking removed half your parents' DNA from you, right? You would not forget your entire lifetime of experiences. Spock has had a lifetime of controlling his fucking emotions. If anything, controlling his fucking emotions should have been easier for him. in season 2 because he's not dealing with the really strong Vulcan emotions. He's just dealing with human ones. So he should have ironically been finding it easier to control his emotions because he's like, oh, these aren't really that intense at all. What the is this the entire sum of human emotional experience? God, you people are dead inside. What the fuck? You know. But then you have these guys turning into Vulcans, and first off, without Vulcan training, they should all have been much more emotional. We've seen Vulcans without the benefit of their emotional suppressing training. That was Tuvok in Voyager in the episode where they removed that stuff. That was the Vatosh Katur in Enterprise Season 1. We know what Vulcans without that training look like. They do not magically start talking like fucking logical Vulcans because they've not had the benefit of that. Like, I'm fucking sorry. If you injected me, right, with a fucking Vatican priest's DNA, I would not start spouting Latin and fucking doing communion. That is not how that fucking works. And as a base concept, it is not only fucking ludicrous, but it's horrendously racist because it says the only, like, the thing that makes you you comes down to your fucking genetics. And that is so fucking racist. Leaving aside the racist bullshit. Leaving aside the fucking racist bullshit. There's also the fact that, oh yeah, let's have La'an fucking reenact her trauma. Let's have Spock fucking go to her. Oh yeah, you have augment DNA. You're connected to Khan, so that's why you're turning into a megalomaniac. Oh yeah, I'd want to fuck somebody right after they shoved my trauma in my face. I'd really want to fucking tango with them and have their socks in my drawer. I'd really fucking want that. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, and of course, we don't even see most of the cast actually go through the decision. They fucking just hand wave that off screen, you know. But we have to focus on La'an getting, oh, you're part augment, that's why you're acting like a fucking Romulan. Shove your trauma in your face. Is this just the let's shove everyone's trauma in their face episode? Is that what this is? Is that what we're getting? Yo, it's so fucked. It's fucked. It's fucked. Like, I'm sorry. You could absolutely play on. Oh, we've got Vulcan biology now. You know, what does Vulcan biology do to us? You know, like, holy shit, I'm now strong enough to do the Spock smashes his computer gif. You know, and now I've got even stronger emotions, and oh my god, I'm really angry, and I now have the strength to punch a hole in a wall. I punched a hole in a wall. That would have been really interesting, and not horrendously racist. And not horrendously eugenicist. And not quite so, let's make light of people's traumas. Yeah. And the thing is, the moment that you have an episode that's trying to be funny, like the moment that you have an episode that's trying to be funny, that's doing those things, and the moment you pick up on those sorts of things, you cease being able to find it funny, and you just sort of sat there going, okay then. I love it when my character's deepest traumas are getting, you know, reenacted, and we're not having any real meaty exploration of. Like, I seriously fucking hope that either they do what they used to do and brush all this shit under the rug when they have some. Like, I hope they fucking threshold this shit. Like, we're never gonna talk about the fucking salamanders again. We're never gonna fucking talk about Vulcan Pike again. We're never gonna fucking talk about this racist bullshit again. Please, either shove it under a fucking... Like, I'm exaggerating. This is a funny episode. I'm sure. Like, if you stop thinking about the racist bullshit for 2 seconds and you just stop and think, all these characters get turned into Vulcans. Isn't that funny? Aren't Vulcan? No. I could even go on an entire separate rant about why are we always making Vulcans jerks. Well, I could go on a whole separate fucking rant about why are we always making Vulcans jerks. They're not meant to be jerks. They're meant, right, to suppress the jerkiness. So when we meet Vulcan jerks, it's because of a failing of their Vulcan training, all right? When Sarek was being a twat, it was because he was being emotional and stubborn, not because Vulcans have a fucking superiority complex about how logical they are, all right? You know, when we saw fucking Captain Solok being a bellend in Take Me Out to the Holosuite, it wasn't because he was, you know, a good Vulcan. It's because he had the very emotional reaction of being an arrogant cunt. But now it just seems like, oh yeah, all Vulcans are just a massive bunch of space racists now to anyone who isn't them. And it's like, then why the fuck are these twats in the Federation? Why the fuck does anyone ever have them anywhere? Why the fuck would I ever want to know a Vulcan? You know, it's there's only so many times that you can play the God, aren't Vulcans a bunch of space racists angle before you start thinking to yourself, why the fuck does anyone ever want to speak to the Vulcans again? Fuck those pointy-eared cunts. Fuck those pointy-eared cunts. But you know what? On the flip side, it's one of the reasons why I've done my very level best in the stuff that we've done together to write good Vulcans who follow the Vulcan path. Because the only way that you can get past shit like that is by sort of stopping and going, okay, no, they're not all like that. Let's try and counterbalance that bullshit.
So the next little one was regarding the scene in Pike's quarters after they realize they can't reverse the process, and it was again sort of heavy on the volcanism bit, or obviously the whole cleaning part. But there was one part I did find quite funny in that scene, was how at the end of the scene, Pike just completely took some sort of bag or pillow and just deflated the whole pillow.
Yeah, I just sort of I don't know what the fuck that was about. I've never seen anyone do that while they're cleaning. I know clean freaks, alright? I know people who are clean freaks. Like, all power to you. I've never seen anyone do that to a bag. Might have to ask one of them about that. But no, that was
yeah.
that was interesting to say the least.
After that bit, by this point, there were a few moments where I thought, okay, so some at some points they're leaning rather heavy into the we're better than my Vulcan section, and sometimes they're not. So sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not bad. After that, again, it was another. I can't remember which one scene it was, but again, it was another scene where it had Pelly in it, and she was just making another just brilliant comment that I fucking loved it. And there, quite simply, the mess hall scene with Erica, Uhura, and Erica's brother.
Oh god, I that one sort of faded entirely from my fucking memory. Like, what did you think of that one?
I mean, generally, I just thought it was just hilarious how Erica just tried to sort of, make. I think I was trying to make some plans with I think I can't remember if it was either both of them or just a brother, but then he was just going, but he was just completely and actually I've got it as labeled later on as like a later thing about how he was just being so like he was like replicating volcanisms and acting Vulcan with her and stuff, and she was just like, what the fuck is going on here? I thought that was hilarious. Have you like, just blown yourself out a little bit there? That last one, is it just sort of?
I mean, the thing is, like, my overriding impression of that is that we. Ironically, that's one of the moments where I was sort of like, hold on a motherfucking second. Did he just get mind raped? Basically, like.
I mean, Erica does later on. Erica does later on say, and I did quote it because I thought it was quite fun. I thought a funny quote. You brainwashed him into a Vulcan lapdog.
That. There are so many, like, unintentionally. Like, you've got to stop and think to yourself. These guys writing this just wanted to write something funny, but there's so much to unpack here. Like, you know. In like beta canon and in like fanon and headcanons and stuff, the entire notion of using mind melds in that way against somebody's will, that's like a horrific crime by Vulcan standards. That's not something that they do. They actually like really fucking hate it when that happens. And also, like, mind melds are a technique that you have to, like, learn. Like, Vulcans are natural touch telepaths, but actually going into somebody's brain is incredibly dangerous, and she could have caused permanent damage. So, you know, I don't like using canon as the stick to punch people with, but, people writing Star Trek, please understand Star Trek when you are writing Star Trek. Or failing that, have somebody sitting next to you while you are writing Star Trek who understands Star Trek so that they can tap you on the shoulder and go, hey, that in Star Trek, what you are writing also means these things. So you should maybe not write that in your Star Trek. Or if you do, acknowledge these things in your Star Trek about Star Trek.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I mean, so I did hear the mind meld quote again, but again, with me being where I watch things, I heard the "you brainwashed him into a Vulcan lapdog" quote, and my first impression is it sounded to me rather funny line, which sort of overshadowed that last section for me personally.
I mean, this is it, right? This is one of those episodes that in the moment there's an awful lot of really funny moments that you can sort of sit there and go, that's funny, and then you stop, and then you think about it for 5 minutes, and then you think, oh my god.
And then going back to another comment you made, again, after the mess hall scene with Erica, and I made this quote, I wrote this down purely for my own satisfaction. I know it was only because it was the part Vulcan side of her. But I got an immense satisfaction from watching Chapel just break off fucking Corby. I got immense satisfaction from that. I was like, I shouldn't feel this good, but I fucking do.
I mean, I'll be honest. Do you know where Corby is in TOS? Do you know how Corby's story ends in TOS?
I know I've never finished it. I did try before watch TOS, but I never finished TOS. I know he's in there. I just can't remember what his role is.
Okay, so without spoiling that for you,
I'm probably not. I mean, you can say I'm probably not going to watch it ever.
Okay, so short version. The first time Nurse Chapel shows up in TOS, she's looking for her long lost husband Roger Corby, who fucked off on a research thing, and they find him on a planet of androids where he's making androids and making android copies of people because he likes androids now. And it turns out Roger Corby is dead, and he's an android copy. And he kills him, and the android kills itself when it realizes, oh shit, I'm not Roger Corby. You know, something like that. And it's like,
I vaguely remember hearing something about that, yeah, I think.
Yeah, so like when I watch this guy as Roger Corby, I mean, leaving aside that I don't really see this guy as being very much like the Roger Corby we saw in TOS, fine, whatever, I'll live with that. It's been 50 years for fuck's sake. But also, like, he's a fine actor. I don't know the actor's name, but he's a fine actor. He plays the character very well. There's nuance to him. I just don't like him that much. There's not enough to it. There's not enough to. So like any scene where he's getting shat on is just funny to me.
Okay.
And like, you know,
fair enough. Okay. So that was after that again. I think if I'm right in saying the look of this from the look of it, I think this was the scene again where I think Spock and Una had come into their little secluded planning room where they're trying to plot to get everything back to normal, and they're just talking about how they can do it, and then sort of halfway through the scene you just get a shot between the two, and I think it's one where Penny just sits out of the bed again and just goes, "I've been on the job for 45 minutes, this is draining me." Again, Penny, brilliant. And then, so yeah, so obviously after that, as obviously the scene with Doug, which is obviously where in my notes I go, as a writer of Una, I'm liking Doug. Yeah, he's brilliant. And then Scott, and then the interactions in general. I think I missed one somewhere, but I think the general interaction in this episode between Scotty and Kirk. Like, whilst they're looking for La'an, and whilst they're in the science lab with La'an and stuff, I think that it's just fucking brilliant.
A lot of people don't like Paul Wesley as Kirk.
I don't mind him.
Paul Wesley. I love Paul Wesley. I think he's fucking phenomenal. Like, there's no getting around it. He's absolutely fucking phenomenal. Like, it's very difficult to take that character and do interesting things with him.
Okay.
But Paul Wesley, no, because realistically, Captain Kirk is the kind of character that it's very easy for an actor to sort of stop and go, I'm just going to do a William Shatner impersonation, but I'm going to do an impression of Shatner from all the cliche impressions. I've got to, mister! And it's like, that's not William Shatner's performance as Captain James T. Kirk, though, and Paul Wesley. Like, Chris Pine wasn't playing Captain Kirk. Chris Pine was playing Rebel without a fucking clue. You know, he was playing, like, you know, he was playing, hello, I am generic teen bad boy, except I'm playing a 30-year-old.
That's a very interesting perspective, because, like, a lot of people, like, a lot of things I see online and stuff, I see people explain the opposite. For me, a lot of people seem to prefer Chris Pine to Wesley.
Yeah, no, that's because the issue with Wesley's casting is that Wesley is like 10 years older than Kirk is supposed to be.
Okay.
Fine, I don't give a shit, because Paul Wesley is playing the character to perfection. He's playing that sort of conflicted, intelligent, intellectual officer.
Okay.
You know, like, they still put too much emphasis on the rule breaking and the impulsiveness. But he feels more like the Kirk of the original series, whereas Chris Pine's Kirk wasn't trying to be the Kirk of the original series. He was just trying to be a horny rule breaker in space. Alright, fine, okay. Be horny rule breaker in space, but you know, that's not very interesting. So I really like Paul Wesley as Kirk. So
yeah, fair enough. Moving on from obviously after that, after Scotty very smoothly neutralizes or disables La'an, they managed to three of them at least return each of the members to their normal state, and I've not made like a specific mention or a specific comment on anything, but I just copied a quote from Pike. I have to go find Marie before she locks me out of my quarters. I thought that was fucking. I thought that was a brilliant little quote from Pike. That was. And then, as you mentioned, as you've touched on earlier again, the Cutter scene. I liked the start of it. I thought it was interesting. But again, as I mentioned earlier, as a Chapel Spock shipper, I wasn't much of a fan of how it ended, with obviously them doing the whole down stuff, hinting at the whole mixed, complicated relationship stuff. That's that. And then obviously after that scene, then obviously we had the Patel promotion scene, and what I've got here is labelled Pike's face at Patel's reaction, just the huh? The way he shoots around, like what the fuck? I love that. Then obviously this is then I've got with the spot with obviously Chapel attempting to do an apology dinner with the Vulcan style dish, and the interaction between her and Spock and that I put down there. I love those two. And then there was a post-credit scene which I didn't initially see, which I've just put pure comical post-credit scene. Love this.
I mean, give me an entire episode of that. No, that post-credit scene. That post-credit scene. You know, why would you do this? Because you are too slow.
Oh.
It's like, okay, this I can get behind.
So, my overall score, it wasn't a perfect episode for me, because there were things that did get my nerves a little bit. But overall, obviously from my initial casual style reaction, or first watching, 7.5 out of 10. Putting aside obviously all the subtext that you've brought up from my initial reaction, I had a bloody good time watching this episode. I had a good laugh.
Fair. If I had to give it a numerical score,
I can imagine it's quite low. 5. Okay.
Okay. Look. So like, realistically, like, you get to 7.5 for me is this is a decent episode. It's not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. You push into the 8.5 and 9s. That's like a masterpiece, and you rarely, if ever, get a 10 out of 10.
I think I would have put the last episode as like an 8 or 9 purely because of how I found.
No, like I'd say a solid 8 was the last one. No, like a 5 because like what you have here is something that is technically competent. It is sticking to its original premise, which is just, let's make these 4 Vulcans and do the funny, you know, without really thinking about any of the like
implications.
Yeah.
You
know, it's a very competently made episode. You know, a lot of the camera work is good. A lot of the acting is on fucking point. Like Anson Mount is fucking hilarious, especially as like Vulcan Pike. He's fucking hilarious. And the fact that you get Lan, like, I'm not being funny, Lan, I was just sort of sat there thinking, holy fuck, it's a fucking Romulan. I love that part. You know, she was so sneery Romulan that I loved it. Even if I have to sort of stop and go, again, Romulans aren't fucking manipulative sneaky fucks because of their genetics. Romulans are manipulative sneaky fucks because it's their culture and the way they operate. But never mind. But the point is, it's a very, very competently made episode with enough terrible fucking shit in the premise that I have to lower the score to that 5. I mean, here's the thing. If you gave me an episode that was like shit premise, shit script, the actors were phoning it in, and the sets were falling down because it was the most incompetently made pile of bullshit ever made, that's when we'd start going to like 2-3 levels. You know, so like this is a very competently made episode with some fucking core fundamental flaws that make rewatch value piss poor. You know?
All right.
So this is like the thing is with Strange New Worlds is that you will rarely get below a 5 out of 10 on Strange New Worlds in my estimation. Like you've had, I think there hasn't been one that this is probably the worst episode of Strange New Worlds for me.
Okay.
With no, this and the one where Spock turned human last season, probably the worst too. But again, a lot of it is that subtextual stuff that pisses me off. So.
Alright, fair enough. There's actually one thing I didn't actually have in here, but I did find just kind of funny is on the similar lines with Doug, it was all the scenes where even just the fact that when Una looked at him, she started into it like a dreamy trance state, and the chat to just like jigger to get her out of it. I find that was brilliant. Alright.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
I think, generally, maybe a few tweaks here and there. I mean, I might next time I'll bring in a second for the third person to see how it bends out. But generally, I think this wasn't overly too bad. It had its obviously serious moments. I may have spent half of it screaming in rage. I got in the words of my generation when we were your age, I got that nerd rage. See, I prefer that to whatever fucking shit my generation would come up with. Like, I don't know if you've side-ran entirely, but I don't know if you've seen. Did you see the news report? The fucking among other words as well, skibbity has been added to the fucking dictionary. Like, I was just on, I don't know where I was, but I was just on my phone trying to. I was like, oh, what's this? I was like.
So I feel like in that vein, therefore, and in the words of your generation, I think it's been interesting to see Spock deploy some of that skibbity riz.
Fuck you. No, I hate, okay, but like words. Okay, fine. Like what? Like the words like riz, cooked, or else shit. I don't mind because they are at least words to some degree that sound like actual words that have actual meanings, but skibbity is the worst one because it is just it's a gibberish word that can literally mean fucking anything.
It sounds like fucking scat, man. It sounds like skibbity. I'm the scat man.
At least that stayed as a song. At least that knew it was a song and that's how it stayed. Skibbity. Skibbity started as a song. Then it became a fucking head in the toilet, and now it's a fucking word in the dictionary. What has my generation come to? What is wrong with you people? Why?
I think, again, in the words of your generation, you've realised that we're all cooked. So, fuck it.
Like that, I don't mind that. Like, I never use that word, cooked, but I fully respect that word. That's fine.
You respect the fact that we're all skibbity cooked.
No, I respect the fact we're all cooked. You start adding skibbity in there, and I'll lose respect quite fast.
So what you're saying is, when I write my next Morningstar script, I have to have Udor. Go to Michael Hunter and go. Michael, I've been researching early 21st century culture. What is skibbity? And just have Michael ask for the pad that she's researching skibbity on, and just go.
No, do you know what I think would happen in that situation? He'd be like, give me the pad, snap over his leg. If that ever happened, it's just no, my brain doesn't want to.
You're making me want to write it now.
Aiden, I'm gonna move this. Okay, no, because
on that skibbity note, we need to skibbity go.
So generally, I thought that was a pretty big. As far as my experiments go, that was pretty okay. I would like to attempt this. I'll put some feelers out for some people for next week. I'd like to attempt this for the next week's episode, if possible, because I think, generally speaking, given a bit more tweaking, this could actually work as a good kind of format, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Because the problem is with me, like. I'm a casual watcher, but then I'm very passionate about what I do watch. So I will watch these people that, yes, okay, they're for every right they have to have those opinions. But then I'm like, but I disagree, but I can't say that to you because I'm watching you in a post-recording setting. So I'm just like, this is the best way I could think of to sort of quell that need. So I will put the obviously. So if you're obviously, I'll talk some dates with you, and obviously if you're happy to do this again next week, that'll be cool. I'll put the feelers out for maybe a third person to join in, to sort of maybe level the playing field a little bit. Maybe we'll see how chemistry works.
Somebody who doesn't scream as much as I do.
And people at home, let us. I mean, don't know how this gets edited. Let me know what you thought about this episode. What do you think I could do differently, and what you'd like to see more? How this featuring goes. This is obviously very experimental at this stage, but at the moment. But generally, had very much fun. And I shall now round this up. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know did you enjoy this video? Did you agree with you were more on my side? Did you thought it was pretty funny, or did you give it Jed's side? What were your thoughts? And let me know in the comments. And as per usual with this sort of topic, those of you who have seen my Sergeant Beckett Reacts videos, Jubilee milligram rules apply. Any sort of like attacking of any opinions, I will try to. I will not have that in my comment section. So please just try and be civil and respectful in the comment section. Please, and all that stuff. Yeah, please consider subscribing, not just to my channel Sergeant Beckett, but linked somewhere. Also, Jed's channel, Man at Desk Productions, which is shortened to Mad. And I will put all his other production channels in the description. So you can go and have a look at some of the work we've done together with all our Star Trek acting stuff and all that stuff. And also linked below will be my link tree full of tons of shit that I still need to look through that I probably don't even use anymore. Instagram, Discords, Twitter that I barely sort of use. TikTok, TikTok, all that stuff. Thank you, Jed, for agreeing to. Thank you, Jed, for joining me for this one. Hopefully, I'll see you again at some point. You all next week with this sort of thing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.